It's been a busy few weeks for prominent Houston attorney Tony Buzbee. Now, his time has been split between defending Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton in his impeachment trial and campaigning to become a Houston City Council member in District G. Buzbee is still fresh off of his big win in Paxton's acquittal. In this Factor exclusive, he tells me how he balanced his workload.
Was it a tough job taking on this case that had the country's eyes on it? Because that was the first time that we've seen anything like that in recent memory in the state of Texas.
Yeah, this has only been done 3 times now in the history of the entire state. A case like this never been won in this state. And because we had a gag order, as you know, Isaiah, we were not able to respond to a lot of the things that were put in the press, most of which I believe was leaked by the prosecutors, not specifically the outside counsel, but specifically the state reps who were a part of the case. So, you know, we were kind of hamstrung up until the opening statement. And, you know, it was high drama. We had 31 senators right behind us. We had almost 50 lawyers to the other side of us who had been working on this for 3 months. And we had the lieutenant governor of the state acting as the judge. And, you know, there was a lot at stake there. And as you suggest, the world was watching. Certainly Texas and the United States was watching. So there was a lot of pressure. But what I'm proud of is that once the first witness took the stand for the prosecution, it didn't take very many questions to show what I anticipated, which was the entire case would crumble.
When you take a look at this case, would you say, obviously it was important to do so you can address these issues in the legislature with your client, with the attorney general? I would still say it was important to do to get it out of the way so he can move on. However, the question is, do you think this was all about politics?
No, I think when we certainly them bringing the charges had they vetted the charges, they would have never been brought. But once they were in the Senate chamber, I can tell you the senators took it very seriously. And when we tried to get the case dismissed at the front end, as you may remember, we were not successful in that. The Senate, the jurors wanted to hear the evidence that had been talked about in the newspaper, because I think we could only get 6 votes for dismissal at the front end. I think we turned that around because we showed throughout the trial there were some very key moments where I think you could just feel the air come out of the prosecution's case on some of the cross-examination moments. So ultimately, was it political? Sure. I mean, it would be hard to argue that this wasn't political when you have the lieutenant governor as the judge and you have senators as the jury and you have the House of Representatives as the prosecution. But at the end of the day, we had witnesses on the stand who were making allegations, and we demonstrated that they had no evidence to support them.
And you did all of this while also running for city council in Houston. How did you manage both? And I know you're out on weekends putting out signs.
I was block walking on the weekends. When I was able to get breaks, I was returning phone calls and talking to people and trying to get myself as informed as I can be. You know, one of the things as a council member, I believe, is to be an advocate, to be an informed advocate who can make arguments for the district. And I would suggest that I can do that better than anyone. And I'm just asking for consideration. District G is a very important district in the city. It generates that 37% of the revenues, and I want to be a strong voice for District G. And I hope that what I've done here in the Paxton case, as well as what I was doing on the weekends out with our voters, I hope that demonstrates the kind of council member I'll be.
Along with your previous run for mayor and your legal career, you have made yourself a household name here in Houston. Now, many people would ask, why city council and not mayor?
Well, I didn't want to be part of I don't want to accuse me that I had something to do with who the city chooses. I think people believed that if I put my name in the hat, that I would somehow impact who would ultimately win, although I would not win. And so I want to see a fair race for the direction of this city, who the city chooses as the mayor. And I'm ready to work with that individual, whoever it might be, or work against them if they're doing things that I think are not good for the city. I live in District G. I care about District G. I raise my children in District G. And I think I will be a powerful, strong, articulate, hopefully, certainly informed advocate for District G.
And what do you consider, say, the number one and number two issues that you need to address if you win, hit the ground running for that area? What are the number one and the number two issues in your mind for District G?
We have to make the city safe. I mean, we have to make the city safe. That's what we have to do. And we have to stop talking about it. We can have, 25 more town hall meetings about it, or we can actually do something about it. And that means we have police who are doing policing in the neighborhoods. Police presence reduces crime, period. Second, we have to, especially for District G, do something about drainage. There's a lot of things the city can do about drainage. And then we have an infrastructure issue. I mean, right now, as we speak, there are over 900 broken water mains across the city of Houston that are free flowing water. And at the same time, we have issues with a water shortage, and we have water pressure problems in our homes. So I want to be the voice that says, look, we need good government. I mean, I'm not talking about national politics. I'm talking about let's do government right in the city of Houston, and let's put our city on track to continue to be one of the great cities of the world. We need to lead. We have to lead, and we do that putting our differences aside and work together and make the city work for the residents and the taxpayers.